Hey folks, Jim Gesto here. We've got a new product for you that will protect you and your employees from tires that scatter, that blow up, that have a zipper failure. This is a SnapDragon. We used to use the bicycle rack, that I call it, the hooped protection cage that everybody is using now. It seems like they're everywhere. So you roll the tire into the cage and you hope it doesn't blow up. Because if it blows up, you're really not protected from the debris. The cages were designed a long time ago for the two-piece rims to keep the steel, when that rim would come apart, to keep the steel from hitting you. That was a big concern, obviously. Now we've got one-piece rims on just about everything, and we have to be concerned with the rubber flying off, the the debris that would come back and perhaps take an eye out or hurt you and hit you somewhere, and it comes apart, as you know, with look on the internet. You'll see a bunch of those exploding. This is the SnapDragon. I'm going to go over the advantages so that so I don't forget anything. Better protection. It combines with a bead seating cage. Let me show you that. So like when you go to air a tire up, what the guys usually do when they've got the hoop bicycle rack, they lay the tire down. After the tire's mounted, they lay it down on a can or another rim, 4 or 5 gallon bucket or something, so that the bottom of the tire is seated, and then they take a bead blaster, feed air to the tire, and air up the tire. Once it starts taking air, then they roll it into the cage, continue to feed it air. That's how everybody's doing it. One of the things I didn't like about a lot of things I didn't like about it, but one of the other things on the bicycle rack, if you rolled the tire in and the valve happened to be right where the bar's at, happens like 1 out of 5 times, then you've got to pull the tire back out, roll the tire around to where you can access the valve, because the rack's in the way. The arm of the rack is in the way. Now, enter the SnapDragon. This is a bulletproof construction safety cage. So you've got your regular safety cages are like probably 250, 300 pounds, and they need to be bolted to the floor. This weighs 2,420 pounds, and it has its own bead seating station. So what we do, I've already got a tire in here, but I'm going to show you how slick this is. We designed it so that the operator doesn't even have to pick the tire up. You just lean back, give it a tug, and your tire comes off here. Let's imagine, I want you to imagine now, this tire doesn't have the bead seated. This has got its air on it already. But it doesn't. Let's say we just aired it up, or we just mounted it up, and we're going to seat the bead on it. So take a look-ski here. We've got a pivoting stanchion. This takes the place of the bucket. We don't have to move the tire twice like on a conventional setup where you're airing the tire up. You just roll your tire into your SnapDragon and drop it down. And it pretty much fits right on this. It rotates up. Now, bring the air out of the center. Bingo. Air it to here. Preset your I'll show you that in a second. You can preset your the pressures going into there. Turn the valve on. Here. You're starting to feed it air. Take your bead blasters, whether you use our fancy blast spider, take a look at that, or you use the other conventional blasters that are in common use all over the world. One way or the other, doesn't make a difference. Get the bead to seat, and then close the SnapDragon. Now, I want to show you the safety features of the SnapDragon, so that we're thinking ahead so that nobody ever possibly gets hurt. This top of this lid weighs 800 and some pounds. It's protection from debris coming up. We could have used springs here. Springs could break to pick this up. We could use hydraulics. Hydraulics could fail. You could pinch a line, or you could have a line that breaks, eventually wears out, and then this comes down and injures your operator, kills somebody. We've got a teeter-totter effect on this. We got just like they do on the big bridges in Chicago. We've got behind here, there's a heavy-duty weight. That big box is filled with sand, and this is just teeter-totter effect. You can just take one hand, one 70-year-old man can just pick this rascal up and drop it down. She snaps into place. Now, before you put the tire on, you can set this air pressure to where you want it. Say this dial will dial in whatever pressure you want to feed air to that tire. Now you're feeding air to the tire. You can walk away, go do another tire. Usually it takes 5-6 minutes, and that tire will have the same pressure that you're feeding into it. Now you can you check that by shutting all the valves off. I'll show you these other valves, how they work. By shutting all the valves off and reading the tire pressure right here, that will read what this is fed if it's in there long enough. Now, if you're low and you want to add some extra, you can put unregulated air onto it. Usually we use 100 pounds to air the tire up. Unregulated air, 150 pounds is what comes out of our compressor, and you can add air to it in a hurry. And then if you need to tweak it, you're fine. If you go over, oh, hey, you know, somebody called me on the phone, it's at 130 pounds, you can bleed the tire air off right here. Make it to perfect. When it's perfect, you're delighted. Well, then all you need to do is pick up the SnapDragon. Now it's locked in place with these 1-inch locks on both sides, and there's nothing really to come apart. The SnapDragon, these are prototype units, and the one I'm showing you, the ones that will be in the field were bolted together. You get your base plate, you have your sides, your top, in case somebody would run into it with a fork truck or damage it. You don't need to buy a whole new SnapDragon. You can buy a part for it. I doubt if they'll ever get hurt, but it's a possibility. Say somebody runs into it with a machinery or something. Now these louvers up here deflect any type of rubber debris that comes off of the tire and keeps it away from the operator's torso. This center is open so you can see what's going on with the tire, and then the rim is not going to explode, but even if it does, you're protected from it. So that's just an open area that, again, that's not a concern for you. This is I believe this is 4-inch quarter wall steel, all constructed and welded together, and so it'll take the whooping, and your operator will not. Real easy to run, very efficient. You can save time when a man does 8 tires and puts 4 on a truck. You don't have to sit there and monitor it. I've been there, done that, and so like even if you put regulated air on the tire, you got to check the tire. So you'll take the air off the tire, and then you put your gauge on it, and it says, oh, 95. Well, I got 90. Oh, 90. Okay, so then we add air to it. So then you put the air to it, you take the time to put the air to it, and then you wait, and you pull the air off, and you double check it. Oh, 105. I got to bleed some down. Okay. So all that time that the operator is working on trying to get the tire exactly where it's supposed to be is wasted time. The SnapDragon keeps that from happening and also protects your operator. So if you're first class operation, and I'm sure everybody that in the tire business works their tail off to make a buck and keep everything safe, this is a first class machine. This first class tool that will keep your employees safe, keep you safe, and will pay for itself in the long run. They're costing around 10 grand. We can get them financed, one payment down of I think $750, $800, and then there's not much interest on it. You get it paid for. Let it pay for itself. You don't need to come up with that money right up front. Let it pay for itself. And if you ever run into an issue where we'll give you money back guarantee, if you don't like it, we'll come pick it up, because you're gonna love it. There's no question. You can pick it up with a fork truck right here. I usually pick it up by hand, but I broke a nail the other day. Anyway, just kidding. Fork truck here. You can put it on blocks underneath. Fork truck from the bottom. You can fork truck it from this side, and so pick it up, put it wherever you want it. This is the latest and greatest. This is what the insurance company, your carrier, sees this in your shop compared to the other one. They go like kiss your cheek, because their liability went way down, and you just might save money on your insurance. You ain't guaranteeing it, but sooner or later, the insurance companies will get wind of less injuries using the SnapDragon, and they're going to say, hey, let's use the SnapDragon. We got a patent on it, so it's not going to be made in China. It's made in the United States of America by American workers. Thank you very much, and I'll send you a brochure. Call 800-259-4550. 800-259-4550. There he is, the SnapDragon. Thanks again.